The car's accessory systems, like the power steering and air conditioning, depend on the accessory drive belts to function. The alternator, which powers the vehicle's electronics and charges the battery, and the water pump, a significant cooling system component, can both be driven by the accessory belt, sometimes referred to as the serpentine belt. Multiple system failures may arise from a belt that is missing, worn out, or loose. We'll examine the price of replacing a serpentine belt as well as the telltale signs and symptoms of a failing belt in this video. What is a serpentine belt? A single rubber belt driven by the crankshaft to drive several pulleys or accessories is called a serpentine belt. Vehicles previously used several V-belts in place of a single rubber device. In an effort to reduce manufacturing costs, increase engine efficiency, and facilitate easier maintenance, manufacturers switched to a single accessory belt. The accessories that are typically driven by this part are as follows: air conditioning compressor, cooling fan, air pump, water pump, power steering pump. On the other hand, it is typical for cars like the Toyota Camry to have both a serpentine belt and a small accessory belt. Worn belt symptoms. The symptoms listed below may indicate that your serpentine belt is loose or worn out. Belt screeching on squealing. The charging indicator light is on. Overheating. Absence of steering power. The air conditioner is not working. Dimmer lights. Check engine light is on. Belt tension. To ensure that the belt is properly tensioned, use a tension gauge. At its loosest point, a belt should only be able to turn about 90 degrees. The belt needs to be replaced if a manual tensioner is unable to bring it into compliance with the correct tension specification. With an automatic tensioner operating as intended, if the belt is discovered to be excessively loose, it needs to be replaced. Visual inspection. When coolant, oil, or power steering fluid leak onto the belt, the rubber will eventually deteriorate and become softer. Stretches, cracks, and tears are more likely to occur in a saturated belt. If there are any physical imperfections in a belt, it should be replaced. The belt should be visually inspected before the tension is checked. When to replace. Every time the serpentine belt fails an inspection, it should be replaced. It's uncommon for manufacturers to indicate when to replace this part in the service tables. Typically, an accessory belt inspection is performed at the time of each oil change or mileage interval service. On the other hand, you ought to replace the serpentine belt at that point if any repairs call for removing it. How to replace. The removal of accessory belts usually only requires simple hand tools. The belt routing diagram is typically located on the hood or the upper radiator support of domestic cars. It's possible that the diagram for an imported car is not on the car and must be located in the service manual. Before you remove the belt, closely inspect its routing if you don't have a service manual. The steps involved in replacing a serpentine belt are: locate the belt tensioner. Place the socket or belt tensioner tool on the tension bolt. Press or pull the tensioner in the correct direction to loosen the belt. Take off the belt. Utilizing the proper routing, install the new belt. In order to place the belt over each pulley, release the tension. Replacement cost. Usually, an accessory belt replacement is not too costly. According to RepairPal, replacing this part costs between $110 and $150. If you perform the repair yourself, a replacement drive belt or serpentine belt can cost as little as $50. Additionally, we discovered the following costs for replacing a belt entirely, including labor, for a number of well-known models, including the Ford F-150. Watch the table. A straightforward but crucial part of the car, the serpentine belt influences several different systems. Long-term savings can be achieved by performing a simple belt replacement to prevent a dead battery, an overheating engine, or a loss of power steering.